So we're going to be using Autodesk Inventor. To open it up is Start Programs, Subjects, DT Software, Autodesk Inventor Professional 2017, and then Autodesk Inventor Professional 2017. When it opens up, it will look something like the screen you can see behind. It is quite a large piece of software, so do give it a minute to actually open up. When it has opened and the screen looks like this, any pop-ups you can just close, and then we click on New. Click pop-up, don't need that, so we'll just get rid of it. So when we've clicked on New, we want to make sure that here we're on metric, because of course we work in millimeters. We're going to use the sheet metal millimeter.ipt file, and that's going to create our flat edge, flat face of our stand. Now again, this will take a minute or so to load. Let it load. If you keep clicking, it'll probably crash your computer. Here we are. So we're going to start a 2D sketch. Doesn't matter too much which one you pick, but I tend to pick one of the upright planes. Just click on that, and then you'll notice the tools along the top here have changed. We're going to use a rectangle. I'm going to click to start placing it, and then as I come out, it shows me the dimensions. Now I want mine to be 100 by 130, so I can type in 100, click on the other box and type 130. Then if I press enter and zoom out by scrolling, it has then created the rectangle the size I need. If you accidentally press enter and don't have the dimensions on it, then you can click on the dimension tool at the top, click on the edge you need, click to one side and type in the required size. Tick or just press enter on the keyboard. We're then going to finish that sketch, and we're going to create a face. Now it should automatically select that rectangle. If it does, we can just click OK. We're then going to tell it what we actually want to do with that face by changing some of these sheet metal defaults. Now of course we used a different material. We didn't use a sheet metal, we used acrylic, which is known as PMMA. So we use PMMA plastic, untick the use thickness from rule, because ours was 3mm. Change that to 3mm and you'll notice automatically it changes the thickness of the piece we created. I'm then going to add a flange to the bottom edge, and that's going to stick out by 30mm. However, the angle needs to sit at 75 degrees. So I type in 75, you'll notice that has actually created an obtuse angle where I actually want it to be acute. So I could try minus 75, well that's just gone the other way, but because I need it to come upwards, I'm going to type in 105 and then OK, and that's now given me the angle that I want. I can drag it around to see the three-dimensional shape by just clicking and holding on this orbit tool, and there we go, we have the stand. You'll then need to make sure you do a save as of that. I would suggest you make sure that you have a folder called Year 8 Inventor, and it would make sense if that was within your Year 8 DT folder. I'm then going to rotate it around either using this tool here, or I can click on this orbit here, so I'm on the front face. I'm going to right click and click New Sketch. Now I have my stand, but I have it sideways. That doesn't matter, because I can simply rotate around using the arrows at the top, as long as that is flat and it looks flat. I'm going to draw a circle for one of my LEDs. Now my LEDs are 5mm in diameter, so I'm going to draw that one there. And I'm going to use the dimension tool by either pressing D on the keyboard or click on dimension. Click on the center of that circle and the very bottom line that I can see. I want to make that 50. I'm then going to click on the very centre of the circle again, and the outside edge towards the left, and I want to make that 30. And then I'm going to click the tick, or press enter. I'm now going to create a line right in the centre, and when I get towards the centre, you'll notice this dashed line that appears. That's because the centre it will automatically lock to. So I'm going to click, place that like so. To escape a tool, just press escape on the keyboard and that will stop drawing it. And I'm going to dimension the bottom edge of that, also 50 from the bottom. Now I'm going to have a go. I'm going to take off the dimension tool and I'm going to create a circular pattern using this one LED hole that I've drawn. So if I click on circular, it says geometry. Well, another word for geometry is shape. So if I click on the shape, click on the axis, and I want the axis to be the edge of this line here. Now I have 8 LEDs, so I type in 8 and press OK. I will then also need to create holes for the switches. Now they are slightly larger circles, so draw it roughly in the right place with a 10mm diameter. You can dimension this by doing the centre of the circle and that centre line that we drew, and make sure that's 12. And from the centre of the circle to the top of the screen, that should be 50mm. But then rather than doing that again, I can simply mirror. So if I click on what I want, I click on the mirror tool, I've already selected it, and I now have a line. I can apply, done, and now I have mirrored the 2 holes for the switches. I can now delete this line here, and all I have is the circles that I need for my switches and LEDs. So I'm going to finish that sketch. It's rotated it around a funny way, but that's okay. I can drag it around a bit and I can see that 3-dimensional. Of course it hasn't actually made the holes yet because all I've done is drawn circles. I'm going to use the hole tool to first of all create the holes for all of my LEDs. So I'm just clicking on the centre of each circle at the moment. I need to just drag that out of the way. The diameter of course was 5mm, so I can type 5, press enter, and it's now made those into holes. Now notice that the other 2 have disappeared.